we're ready for the start of the Swann Insurance International Series for 1983, and once again the series is packed brimful of interest because of the series contenders, including international riders and the best from Australia. Stu Avant, who finished second in the series last year, is here again. Dave Hiscock, the defending champion, is back again. And on the horizon, a new performer from England, young Rob McElnay from Heron Suzuki in England, the dominating team of Suzuki Grand Prix bikes in that country. So we're set for a very, very interesting series. A battle also between the machines, some of the new machinery on view, the first time ever seen in this country, the new Honda 920. Only 3 of those bikes produced in the world. And battling against the big Formula One machinery, the Grand Prix bikes. And mixed in amongst those, the superbike riders of the school of Robbie Phillips. So sit back, settle down for a series that should be the best of motorcycle action in this country. Round 1 at Caldar, the first heat.
Almost ready to go. And the start of the first round of the Swann Insurance Series for 1983. And it's Johnson goes to the lead. Bike 7, bike 3, Malcolm Campbell, the second Honda, tucks in behind him, then McElnay in third position. That's Johnson.
Great start from Johnson. You can see by the way he's tucking down on the bike, he is thrilled with the start, really feeling at home and perhaps a bit edgy. McElnay there, well placed in third.
Rob Phillips behind him and Stu Avant in fifth position.
This is 20 laps, 32 kilometres. Quite a hard, long race around Caldar. Mick Grant was G. F was Norris. A New Zealander who's come over and doing a good job. It's a 47-second standing lap, 122 kilometres an hour.
McElnay taking the tight line into the corner at the end of the straight.
McElnay can't afford to let Johnson get away here. He's got to get past Campbell quickly as Johnson makes ground between them with every corner.
This, in fact, are the Honda tactics to hope that McElnay will become involved in a monstrous dice with Malcolm Campbell and therefore give Johnson a clear passage.
And there's a crash.
It's Michael Dowson from Western Australia in his first ride on the Suzuki 500, and he's down on only the second lap.
Well, it's his first ride in this Swann, but he did ride it earlier in the 500 championship. And he rode it perfectly there, whittled his times down to more than a second better.
Here he is in fourth position. Fourth position now.
And
fifth position rather
behind Avant, and the back's just gone and come round on him.
Yes, it's very bumpy through there, and he just lost the back end over the ripples. It's straight away. He's unhurt though.
The leader, Andrew Johnson. 18 laps remaining.
44.56, his second flying lap, bringing the average speed up to 129 kilometres an hour.
McElnay right on Campbell, and Campbell almost gone.
The power of the big V4 there, letting the tyre slide violently out of the corner as he applied the throttle.
Running an odd tyre combination, in fact. Michelin's on the front and Japanese Dunlop's on the back as McElnay takes him. And this is what Campbell didn't want, and in fact Team Honda didn't want, because McElnay now has the edge to go after Johnson.
With 2.17 seconds gap between first and third, Johnson back to McElnay before he took Campbell. Avant, as you can see, is fourth, Phillips is fifth.
David Hiscock is in the pits. Last year's Swann Insurance Series winner has pulled to the pits. He had a dismal practice yesterday with an oil leak and actually started in 12th position on the grid.
That momentary mistake of Campbell's is all that McElnay needed, and now he's got his head down and his sights firmly set on the Honda Works rider up front, Andrew Johnson.
Johnson a 44.43 seconds, 0.03 of a second outside the lap record.
Leads McElnay by 2.25 seconds. We look at Avant in fourth, leading Phillips in fifth. Avant on the Grand Prix Suzuki, Phillips on the Superbike Suzuki.
There's Hiscock's monocoque Suzuki Biobike. This is almost deja vu from last year. Hiscock also failed to finish the first round of the Swann Insurance Series in 1982, but recovered brilliantly to take 3 wins and a second place to win the series last year. Back to Andrew Johnson. Onto the straight. Behind him, McElnay.
Johnson's pulled 0.25 of a second. He's out to 2.5 second lead as McIlnay still has to cover himself from an attacking Malcolm Campbell.
For the second lap in succession, Johnson does a 44.43 seconds. He's in the groove.
I've got him on 2 laps at under the lap record by just a few hundredths. So Johnson really is flying, and Campbell there, look the way he's cranking over that endurance bike. 50 kilos heavier than the Suzuki that leads it. Like carrying a pillion passenger, as Malcolm Campbell said earlier.
But look also at the wily privateer Stuart Avant, just hanging in behind there in 4th position, waiting for somebody to make a mistake. Here comes Campbell.
But the lighter 500cc Suzuki enabling McIlnay to be later on the brakes. The big V4 Honda, a heavy machine that requires an awful lot of stopping, and Campbell couldn't get past McIlnay at the end of the straight.
Johnson, who lost the Castrol 2-hour production bike race here earlier this year to, in fact, his teammate Malcolm Campbell in a savage dice, will have a lot to thank Campbell for after this race, I think, because Campbell's doing a wonderful job to harry and worry McIlnay.
Who is now 2.63 seconds behind Johnson.
Who's just recorded a lap of 44.41.
We apologize for this break in our program. We'll return you to it as soon as possible.
So he's still in the nervous 99, Sir John.
I'm sorry, we've obviously lost our program there for the moment, but while we're having a little delay here, I might just bring you up to date with the last cricket score that we had. The West Indies 6 for 263, Gomes is not out 54, Dujon not out 88. Now we're going to try and get the program back on air, but I'm sorry, it's obviously not coming back on air. I don't have any results or anything here to bring you at the moment, unfortunately. So perhaps we could just take this opportunity to remind you about tonight's coverage of the Wallabies Test match in Dublin. It's on at 1:20 early tomorrow morning, and it will be replayed for Sydney at 1:55 tomorrow. Also coming up during the week, we have the Australian Open Golf, which starts at 3 o'clock, our coverage on Thursday, 3 o'clock, and on Friday at 3 o'clock on the weekend, 11:30 Saturday and Sunday, plus nightly highlights. Now we're going to take a look at some results from Melbourne that we didn't have time to look at in our last link. So here are the results of race 3 at Melbourne. No, I'm sorry. Excuse me for a moment. Okay, we have the motor racing again, so it's back to the Swann Insurance Series.
Campbell, the Castrol 6-hour winner, Campbell, 30-year-old Tasmanian, wiry, very muscled, very fit.
And the Honda, if anything, a little bit quicker through the corner there.
Yes, Campbell's doing a remarkable job on this machine. If the Honda has any advantage in its weight, it is that over the bumps it's more stable than the light 500 Suzuki of McIlnay's, and Campbell obviously making use of that to run it through the corners at high speed. Considering that this is Campbell's first ride on the big V4, he's doing a tremendous job.
He only got off production bikes this year. His first ride on the Superbike was this year, and now a step up to a Formula One bike, and he really is making a great fist of it.
McIlnay also more used to the four-stroke big Formula One machines in Britain. It's only about his 4th race on the 500 this year. He was second in both the World and the British Formula One Championships, McIlnay on his big Suzuki, and now is riding the 500 here.
McElnay and Campbell both starting to haul Johnson back just a little bit. Gap now down to 1.8 seconds, and you can see it closing now. And that's not a trick of the lens.
Yes, I can't imagine that Johnson is taking it easy. He certainly can't afford to do that, but McElnay's right with him now.
Well, this is what I was referring to earlier.
Oh, Johnson almost gone onto the straight.
McElnay comes here, razor sharp from a season of racing. Johnson hasn't had a ride for a while, and he has a problem.
Johnson pointing down to the front tyre. We saw the front tyre slide as he came onto the straight there. The tyre's going away. It's become too soft and sliding around.
It's a very tricky problem here at Caldar, which makes such great demands on the front tyre.
Braking deep into the corners.
And in just one lap, Johnson's gone from a 44.86 down to a 45.98.
Oh, and look at it, unstable under brakes. They're fearsome the way it was walking around.
This is where we have to start to worry about Andrew Johnson. He's such a fierce competitor that he could well attempt to ride the bike past its capabilities. It's too early in the Swann series for him to want to race Rob McElnay right now if his bike isn't up to scratch.
But it suddenly gives Campbell a much bigger responsibility too, because suddenly he might see that he should be defending the lead for Honda should Johnson go out. Now, 0.6 of a second blanket the first three placings.
David Hiscock, incidentally, goes out to do a little bit of unofficial practice at the rear of the field.
McElnay will have seen that Johnson pointed down to his front wheel as they went onto the straight, so he knows that something is wrong with the machine in front, and that gives him a big psychological advantage.
Yes, in fact, he'd be happier to stay behind Johnson at this stage and pressure him and hope that he'll make an error than to go by.
There he goes. Johnson's now in behind, and Rob McElnay from Britain has taken over the lead in the Swann Insurance Series. And there goes Malcolm Campbell. Unlikely that Johnson will let him do it, however, and doesn't.
It's be interesting to see the Honda. Oh, McElnay nearly crashed onto the dirt.
There go the two Hondas sweeping through. Here comes Stewie Avant in fourth position.
Well, what a breather for Johnson and Campbell.
Last time out on the 500 Suzuki back in England, McElnay crashed doing exactly that. He had the back end slide and it kicked him right off the machine, but this time he was lucky enough to get away from it.
He's got plenty of bulk there to keep him on it too, Peter. He's a solid lad.
Certainly a strong man.
Peter, has been said of him that he's a very good sprint racer, but has yet to learn how to ride in a race series.
Yes, indeed. Rob does go well in the short races. He can, I think, put together the series here. 6 races. He should be good over the distance, but he's got to catch the two Honda riders.
Comes Campbell, and Campbell is through Johnson to take over the lead.
Boxing Johnson in against Graham Muir. The lead back to McElnay is 3.48 seconds, virtually 3.5, and 6 laps remain.
While Johnson and Campbell get very well off the track, there is absolutely no concession given between the two teammates on the circuit. Never more evident in the Castrol 2 hour earlier this year when they, as I said, staged that savage dice and Campbell won it.
McElnay has picked up nearly half a second in that one lap. He's got 5 laps to go and the gap's 3 seconds, so he is still making ground on the leading Honda pair.
Tail enders obviously play a very important part here as they spoil the rider's line through the corner, and it's largely a matter of luck as to whether you arrive on a slower rider in the middle of the corner or in a straight line.
We saw Johnson and Campbell get into a scrap like this in the Adelaide 3 hour a while ago, where Campbell came out on top. The gap back to third is 2.94 seconds. Lap time of the leaders relaxing slightly to a 44.98, virtually a 45.
Mick Grant, incidentally, is lying in 5th position. Oh, and Johnson's down.
Hit Campbell.
And how bad is the bike is the question. Johnson seems to be okay, but where's the motorcycle? It hasn't hit anything. That's good.
He hit Campbell, and that's what brought him down. His front wheel hit Campbell's back wheel, and it nearly brought Campbell down as well.
Yes, Campbell moved over just that little 6 inches as they approached the peeling off point of the corner, and Johnson just clipped the tyre.
And let's see it again. Here we go. Campbell in the lead, Johnson behind him, locks up the back, does hit Campbell.
Actually looked as though he had hold of Campbell's back, and incidentally, he thought he was travelling slowly there, and he was travelling far too fast to stand up, and the lead has been reduced to 2.22 seconds from this man, Malcolm Campbell, back to Rob McElney.
Doubtless Campbell will have been slightly unsettled by that action, and that's given McElney a little bit of extra lift.
He's 46.5 his lap that time.
Campbell's bike sliding wildly as he came across the slippery patch of tarmac, which is where the drag races start here at Caldar.
But still the gap to second place McElney, 2.2 seconds. Avant is third. Farris Norro is fourth.
No, he's not. He's a lap down, in fact, Will. He's been
in
lapped.
Fact, Norris Farrow, let me get that man's name right.
But whoever he is, he's at least a lap down,
and,
for sure.
And Mick Grant
is next with bike 2, David Snape, the Queensland champion.
Ron Cox on a superbike. A 44.83 as Malcolm Campbell gets back into the groove and does maintain that 2.2 second gap back to Rob McElney.
Campbell takes the flag, putting him on the last lap here.
McElney too far away to really throw it a challenge, but he's still keeping the pressure on. And there's Johnson. He won't be a happy man. Fortunately, he has a few spare bikes in the pits for the next heat this afternoon.
Yes, the Team Honda Australia has 5 bikes actually, 2 860cc super bikes. This one, their Formula 1 inline 4-cylinder, this is a V4, and Andrew Johnson's V3 500 Honda. But
last corner now, Malcolm Campbell onto the straight, and nothing can stop him now as he looks over his shoulder at Rob McElney. But it's Malcolm Campbell takes the first round of the Swann Insurance Series for 1983. Rob McElney in second place. Stewie Avant very happy to get third.